Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Kristen, this is my booktube, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 24-hour reading vlog of sorts. I say of sorts because I'm not about to try to stay up all night reading, but I do want to do a reading vlog for the next 24 hours. Maybe a little bit over that, but in any case, I have several books that I am partway through that I have not finished yet, and that I really need to get a move on. So in this week's video, we're going to be doing a 24-hour reading vlog where I'm going to focus on finishing books that I've already started. Today is Friday, and I do have a half a day of work today, so that's also why I wanted to do this today, because I don't have to work as long and I can fit in more reading time. I do have to work until noon. It is a little after 8 a.m. right now, and I don't have to be in the office until closer to 9. So I'm going to use that time to read Assassin's Blade. I did start this book earlier this week. I'm only on chapter 3, about 20 pages in, so we are not very far in this book at all. But I do want to keep this series moving, so I'm including this in my reading vlog this week, even if I only read it at the beginning of this vlog. So our first order of business is going to be to make some headway in this book for the next 30 minutes. Alrighty friends, checking back in. It is later in the day now. It is about 12:30 and I just got home from work, and I have decided that I would like to bake some bread today. I found a very simple recipe online. I just don't feel like buying any bread, even though I'm gonna have to go to the store this weekend anyway. I just want to bake some bread, you know? I'm just gonna do a very simple loaf recipe that I found online. It's nothing fancy. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be listening to a podcast that I was listening to while I was working today. And then once the bread is done, we will move back into continuing with the reading portion of this vlog. But I did want to update you that I am taking a little bit of a break to bake some bread. But yeah, let's get to baking, shall we? Okay, so this is all that I'm using for the bread that I'm making. The recipe just calls for sugar, flour, dry activated yeast, some olive oil, salt, and warm water. So it's a very simple recipe. Here are the instructions I printed out if anyone is curious. I've never made this before, but it was one of the simplest ones that came up when I Googled a bread recipe. So we're hoping that it's good, because I need simplicity in my life, and this is about the level of complexity that my mind can handle right now. I have changed into some clothes that I don't really care if they get flour and stuff on them, so I'm about ready to start baking. Pulled out all my ingredients. I've gotten my mixing bowl out. I've gotten my dough arm attachment ready for my KitchenAid. So let's go ahead and quite literally get this bread. All right, that was really bad. I'm gonna go. Bye. Hello, everyone. It's me again. It is 2:05 currently. I have not started baking yet because I went to pull out all of my ingredients to start baking. I realized that my yeast is expired, so I was Googling to see if I could still use it even if it was technically expired. And somewhere online, someone said that if it still foams up when you add warm water and sugar to it, you can use it, it'll get the job done. It just won't be as good as fresh yeast. So I was like, okay, let me give it a try. I mixed it with warm water and sugar. I let it sit for like 5 or 10 minutes and nothing happened. So I was like, well, I already have everything out to make this, so I'm just gonna run to Kroger. I have a couple other things that I should probably pick up while I'm there anyway. So I just made a little Kroger trip. So I got my yeast, I got some bananas, I got a couple different things. And I got back home, got everything upstairs, and what do I see sitting on my countertop? Yeah, so it is really foamy, so I guess technically I could still use the old yeast. But why would I do that when it's expired and I already bought new yeast? So all that to say, I've been gallivanting around, not even doing the side quests that I set for myself, let alone the main task of this video. And I wasn't going to update you on the fact that I did have to go to Kroger to make this whole baking of bread happen. But me coming home to that after the inspiration for the whole trip to Kroger, if you will, was the fact that I didn't have yeast that was active to make my bread. It's hilarious. So I decided to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed that little tangent, but it is now 2:08, so let's just go ahead and get to baking this bread so that I can sit down and relax for the rest of the evening. Also, while I was at Kroger, they had a sale on Squishmallows, so I got a little bat. Isn't she so cute? I love her. So, first purchase of the spooky season happened as well. So you needed to be updated on both of those things. Alrighty, everyone. Checking back in. We are way overdue for a check-in. It is actually close to 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, and I have not really filmed anything so far today, but that's not to say that I haven't been doing things. I have finished a book. I've cleaned my patio. I have DNF'd another book. I have made bread. There is a lot that has gone on in the last 24-ish hours since we've checked in. So let's go ahead and just get all caught up again. So I woke up this morning and it was like 70 degrees in Texas, and I was so happy. It really gives me such a serotonin boost when it drops below like 80 degrees in Texas. I've mentioned this before, I am not a summertime gal. I really do not like the heat of the summer here in Texas. It is the most miserable time of the year to me. It makes me cranky. It puts me in a bad mood. It makes me not want to do anything. I just all around am not a big fan of summertime. So when I woke up this morning and it was in the low 70s, I got so excited. I wanted to go drink coffee on my patio. The problem is I haven't been able to use my patio in like 7-8 months. So it was in quite a state. I had a cover over the sectional on my patio. The little coffee table I had out there was super dirty from having my plants on it, from it raining, all of the stuff that has happened over the last 7 months. And there were just a bunch of leaves and stuff gathered on my patio. So I decided to take the initiative this morning and just go ahead and clean my entire patio, get it ready to use so that the next nice morning that I have like that, I can actually sit and enjoy my coffee out on the patio. So I spent a good chunk of my morning doing that, and while I was cleaning the patio, I had my AirPods in and I was listening to the rest of Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes. And I've had conversations with people in my real life about this book recently, and I honestly have no idea why it's taken me like 3 months to finish it. There's no reason for that. Like, it's a really fun book. I really liked that book a lot. I think that I've just been in such a funky headspace that even reading fun books hasn't been appealing to me. So all that to say, if you see my rating for this book on Goodreads or StoryGraph, if you want to follow me on either of those, the links are always in the description below. But if you saw that I rated this book really highly and then saw that it took me 3 months to listen to the audiobook, you may have been a little confused about what took me so long to finish it, and I'm just as confused as you are. I have no reason. I just didn't really feel like listening to audiobooks, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in my brain, but it was not at the top of my priority list, that's for sure. But we have now finished it, and I did really enjoy it. I gave it a 4.25, and I was debating between a 4 and a 4.25 for a little while. And I think that if I would have just read the physical book, it would have been a 4. But the narration in the audiobook is done so well. It's voiced by Neil Patrick Harris and I believe Simon Vance. I will have to look at the cover again to confirm, but the two narrators did such a good job. It just has such a unique vibe to it, and it is such a fun way to tell like a murder mystery type story like this, where you're following the murderer as they are preparing to commit their murder, namely murdering their employer. It's not just about the plotting of the murder. The whole premise of the book is that our main character, whose name is Cliff Iverson, voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, he has a vested interest in murdering his boss. He decides that he's just gonna do it and try his best to get away with it. Doesn't exactly go that well. And in the process, he ends up being recruited into this secret murder academy where he essentially learns how to pull off a murder of his employer. And it's just such a cool concept to have this secret academy. No one going there knows where it is. Every time that they transport a student there, they're like blindfolded, and they do all of these things to disorient them so they have no idea where they are. And then once they're on the grounds of McMaster's, it's basically kind of like a university, and it's described kind of like a Harvard of sorts, with like the style of the buildings and the ivy covered walls and dormitories and things like that. And they take all of these classes about like poisons and disguises, and there's like gym classes so that their physical fitness is up to standard so that they can commit these murders and get away with them. And it all culminates to their final thesis, which at McMaster's is the quote, deletion of your proposed target. And they use the word deletion to replace the word murder. I guess it makes it sound nicer. Anyways, so your whole thesis is plotting and executing your intended murder. And everyone at McMaster's has one specific target in mind. And there's this like whole criteria of questions that they have to go through to justify if this is a worthy cause for a thesis topic, if you will. It was just so fun all the way through. And there's so much more to the book that is like so fun and interesting, but I almost think that it's better to not know that going in and just to ride out the book how it is, because I think that it's just such a fun ride. I can't think of another book that has had such a fun and unique story like this that I've read recently. And yeah, so I ended up giving it a 4.25. I do think that stylistically, some parts of it did drag for me a little bit, and that might be part of why it took me so long to finish it. And also, fun fact, the author, Rupert Holmes, is the singer of the Pina Colada song. If you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. That has to be one of the most interesting where are they nows that I've stumbled across in recent history. So yeah, not only did I really enjoy the story, I thought it was really fun and well thought out. The cover is gorgeous. The narration is great in the audiobook, but it was also written by the guy that sang the Pina Colada song. So it also has like fun trivia associated with it. It's just such a unique book. I almost feel like it's something that I would think up in a dream, you know? It just doesn't seem like it would be a real book, but here it is. So yeah, I did finish that book. I thought it was great, obviously. So there's my impromptu review of that. I really thought that I wasn't gonna have enough material for this week's video, but here I am yapping away. So then I also started Assassin's Blade this week. There's not much to report here. I'm on chapter 5, about 30-ish pages into the book, so not a ton going on. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but this is the prequel to the Throne of Glass series, and it is a collection of short stories. I don't remember how many short stories are in here, but they're ranging from like 75 pages to like 150 to 200 pages, something like that. But I am on the Pirate Lord and the Assassin, which is the first story, and I'm about halfway through that right now. And I am enjoying the background that I'm getting for some of the characters that we have met already in the series. Specifically, I'm very interested in Sam, because we've heard a lot about Sam from Celaena's Throne of Glass perspective, where she is remembering him fondly, and they had a seemingly really close bond. But in this very first story, they don't really like each other that much. So I'm interested to see how their relationship progresses through these short stories. And the other thing that like kind of caught me off guard is that they were talking about, oh, I'm not gonna know how to say his name. Arobin? I think that's how you say his name. The dude that like took Selena in when she was orphaned. This whole time, I was under the impression from the first 2 books that he was like, not old, but like older. I've also been rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender recently, so I was picturing like Gyatso from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like just, you know, this older, wise mentor type person that has been guiding Selena through her assassin training. This dude is 35. And that brings up one of the trends, I guess, I've noticed in these books specifically. All of these characters are so young. Like even the pirate lord, who is like the most powerful pirate of all the pirates, whatever. Even he is 30. And I'm just wondering, like, how are all these super young people like clawing their way to the tops of these hierarchies like this? I also have to like remember that Sarah J. Maas was quite young when she wrote this series, and younger people do tend to think that 35 is like ancient. So that's also something to keep in mind, I guess. So I'm not like faulting it too hard for that, but it is a trend that I'm noticing that like everyone is just super young. Even like the mentors that you would think based on all of this experience that they're supposed to have are older and therefore wiser. They're extremely young. And also there's like this whole thing where no one knows what Selena looks like. No one has like seen her face, so they don't know that she's a 16-year-old girl. All they know is that she is a woman, but they don't know how old she is. And that is like a theme throughout the entire series. Like that's the whole thing in Throne of Glass when she is competing to be the king's champion. That's why she has a false name, because no one knows what Selena looks like. No one knows that she is a young girl. But like, if in this world, all of these people who are like taking power away from these like senior members of these various hierarchies are young people, why would they not expect her to be a young girl? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it would make much sense given the context of the power structure surrounding it. Like if the most powerful people in all of these different hierarchies are really young, would they not expect the best assassin to also be really young? I mean, I know she's 16, so she is like significantly younger still than the Pirate Lord or Arobin or whoever, but it just doesn't seem that far-fetched to me, you know? I don't know. That's very nitpicky, but that is a thought that I had, so I thought I would share it with you anyway. So even though I haven't made a lot of progress in this, apparently I do have quite a bit of stuff to say already. So glad I could share that with you. And then the last book that I've been working on that you have probably already seen a clip of me reading in this video is The Hobbit. Yes, I decided to pick up The Hobbit. I did try to read this book like 2 years ago, I think. I decided to try to read it physically, and the problem with doing that is the way that this is printed, the lines are just like really close together. So yeah, the spacing between the lines is like really, really close, which I guess is good because then they can print it on less pages. But I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I do have a couple issues with my eyes that do affect how I read. It's one of the reasons why I am such a slow physical reader. So no one make fun of me for reading really slow, okay? I have like medical reasons why I read slow. I forget what like the actual medical terminology is for it, but essentially since I was a little kid, I have had trouble reading. And specifically what I had trouble with when I was younger is I had a lot of issues with reading one line and then going to the line immediately below it. My eyes would often skip lines or just keep rereading the same line to the point where I had to use like a ruler or a piece of paper to keep track of what line I was currently reading. And because these lines are printed so closely together, it makes it quite difficult for me to read. So when I initially tried to read this physically, it did not go well for me. So this time I am listening to the audiobook for the most part, but I did want to follow along physically in the book because there's artwork in the book that goes along with the story. So I have been making my way through this a little bit, just audio, and then also following along in the book as I listen. And I am quite close to finishing this now. I'm on page 234. I have less than 50 pages left of this book, but because the print is so close together. It's really probably like 60 pages. And I think by audiobook time, it's like 2-ish hours. So I'm really close to finishing this one. This has been a really fun read as well. And I think I'm going to try to watch the movie after I finish this book. I do believe that I've seen The Hobbit, but I have not seen any of the other Lord of the Rings movies. So I really don't remember much of the movie in general. So I think that it will be fun to watch it after reading this book. And then I will be continuing into the rest of the Lord of the Rings series after I finish this book. So yeah, that is where I am currently with the books that I've been reading. As for the rest of today, I have a bit of cleaning that I need to do, so I think I may start a new audiobook. I do need to start a book for my work book club. Our meeting is on Tuesday, and I have not started it yet. Is anyone surprised? So I do need to start listening to that. It's called The Better Sister, and I do believe that I have it saved on one of my many audiobook apps. So I will probably be starting that while doing a little bit of cleaning, and then I will probably sit down and try to finish The Hobbit today. So that way we can have 2 books finished in basically 2 days. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that is about it for my check-in, even though this was probably the world's longest check-in. I'm gonna go ahead and get on with the rest of my day, and I'll check back in with you later. Bye. Alrighty, y'all. Checking back in. It is the next day. It is now Sunday morning. It's just after 9 a.m. and I've been up for a little bit. I woke up around 7 and then I've just kind of been like lounging in bed for a little bit. Ended up getting up about 30 minutes ago and I got dressed and ready for the day because it is in the 60s this morning in Dallas and I am so happy. So because it's actually cool outside for once, I'm going to take advantage of it and I'm going to go for a little walk. And while I'm on my walk, I'm going to be listening to some more of The Better Sister. I think I listened to about 2-ish hours of it yesterday while I was working on some other artsy project that I'm not quite ready to share with you just yet. But as I was working on that, I was listening to The Better Sister, and so far, I am very intrigued. There's a lot going on with the dynamics of the characters in this story, and the author's doing a really good job of putting just enough information out there to get my gears turning and really start building the suspense. So far, I'm very early on in the book, but I'm really enjoying it. It's got me quietly commenting to myself as I'm listening. So yeah, while I go on my walk today, I'm just gonna put in my AirPods and listen to some more of The Better Sister. And the only reading recap I really have for you is that I did finish The Hobbit yesterday. As you would have seen, I did some reading out on my balcony for a little bit until the mosquitoes started to make an appearance, and then I did try to light some citronella candles and stuff before ultimately just heading back inside. I probably sat out there for about an hour or so, and then I listened to the last 20 to 30 minutes of The Hobbit while I was doing some other things in my apartment. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I can see why it's a beloved classic. It was a lot of fun, a very entertaining story. Bilbo's a fun main character. I really enjoyed him waking up most mornings thinking that he's at home and then going to make a cup of tea before realizing that he is still on this journey and he can't have his 11 meals a day like he normally does. I thought that was really fun, and it was a really good mix of fun parts, funny parts, and also like some more tense, adventurous parts as well. One thing I didn't do after I finished this book is I did not sit down and watch the movie. I ended up playing some Sims instead. I don't know what sparked that desire in me, but I had a desire to play Sims, so I started playing some Sims for the rest of the evening. And that is how I finished off my Saturday. I do still want to watch the movies. I know that they're not as like highly regarded, I guess, as the Lord of the Rings series from the early 2000s, but I still want to watch them nonetheless. And then I will be moving on into the Lord of the Rings trilogy. but not in this video. We're getting very close to ending this video, so that's not gonna happen in this video. That is pretty much it for the reading update and the plan for the day. I'm just gonna go ahead and get my stuff together, go for my walk, and listen to my book while it's still in the 60s out. And then I'll probably be back for one more check-in before we wrap up this reading vlog, because I gotta get this posted. It's supposed to be posted today, but I have a hard time ending reading vlogs when I'm like on a roll reading. So if this video isn't posted until later on Sunday, I'm so sorry. I was just on a reading roll and I just didn't want to stop the reading vlog yet. So I'm so sorry, but it's for your benefit because we're getting more reading content out of it. So hopefully you can forgive me. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the day. Let's go. Alrighty, friends, I am back from my walk. I ended up walking for longer than I thought I would. I found a little trail and I walked one branch of it, and then I walked a bit of a ways down the other end. And I think I ended up walking maybe a little under 2.5 miles. I didn't look at the exact distance when I stopped. I did see that I had gotten over 6,000 steps and I had been walking for over an hour. And on top of that, I listened to a decent chunk, about 10-ish chapters of The Better Sister. So very productive morning for me, all in all. And I think that is where we're gonna end this reading vlog. I think I'm going to keep recording because now I'm feeling energized. Now I want to go run some errands, maybe look at some Halloween decorations. I've heard that Walmart has some pretty good stuff this year. I don't normally shop at Walmart, but I may have to go check out the Halloween stuff that they're putting out because I've been told that they've stepped up their game this year. Just a real quick recap of what we did get through reading in the last 3-ish days. I finished Murder Your Employer. I believe I ended up giving that like a 4.25. And then I also finished reading The Hobbit and I rated that 4 stars. Then I did also make a little bit of headway in Assassin's Blade, only about like 35 pages. So progress was made, but definitely not a lot of progress. And then I also started The Better Sister for my workbook club meeting that is happening on Tuesday. And as of right now, I think I have about like 6 hours left on normal speed, but as per usual, I'm listening to it on increased speed, so I really have about 3.5 hours of actual runtime left. That one is heating up. Nothing crazy has happened yet. I'm not even halfway through the book, so I wouldn't expect anything to really be kicking off. But we are getting bits and pieces from the different characters that is broadening my suspicions. There's a lot more going on beneath the surface with these main characters than initially meets the eye. So I'm enjoying unraveling that a little bit. And that's also a reason why I'm gonna keep reading and keep telling you what I think about this book, because this may actually be helping me come out of this little reading slump that I've been in. But yeah, in any case, that is going to be all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I've been doing a lot of reading vlogs recently, but that is because I need the pressure of filming a reading vlog video right now in order for me to actually make it through some of my books. So it's not like I'm avoiding telling you what I think about books. I just need to actually read some books. So we're gonna be doing some reading vlogs for a little bit while I try to get caught up from my most recent reading slump. That is going to be it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below. Let me know. You should also subscribe while you're down there because I put out new videos every single weekend. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!